Hello, and thanks so much for tuning in to our BCSN and BCAN Black History Month special. I'm your host, Faith Atkins for BCAN.
And I'm Deion Thompson for BCSN, and we are here at the African American Legacy Project. And let me just tell you guys something, the camera does this place no justice. You really need to get out here and see it. As we know, February is that time of the year where we acknowledge the contributions of many African Americans. It's a time for us to acknowledge our past, focus on our present, and also think about our future.
And with that being said, let's get to it. Our first story takes us to Bowling Green, Ohio, to hear the story of Deontay Shivers. Deontay is honoring his mother's memory with Trigger Meals, a passion project that's turned into a full-blown business thanks to Deontay's hard work.
Hey, I'm Tim McMahon in Bowling Green at Ziggy Zumba's. We're talking food with Deontay Shivers. He's the owner-operator of Trigger Meals. Deontay, thanks for joining us.
No, man, thanks for having me, man.
Trigger Meals, that's an interesting name. It's an interesting business model. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Trigger Meals, the name, except you say you like the name, Trigger was a nickname given to me by my basketball coach, and the meals is pretty self-explanatory. I started the business in July 2016. I started cooking in my apartment. It was really a way to bring in some income. Just a couple months earlier, my mom unexpectedly passed away. My dad had to really step up and, take on the responsibilities that my mom had. So we was just in a tough situation, and cooking has always been my passion. So, it was just something to get the students in BG a taste of home away from home.
You mentioned, your mom passing, and this sort of came about. Was it almost like a therapeutic way to get through it too?
Yeah, because cooking was something that we always did together. Every major holiday, festivity, just because I was in the kitchen cooking with her. I come from a cooking background, and it's like every time that I'm in the kitchen, I kind of feel her there with me because it was something that we did together. So, yeah, it's definitely therapeutic. In September 2018, I was able to start a scholarship with the university in honor of my mom, and it's for those students who lost a parent because I know what it's like to deal with that. And if I'm in a position to help people, just do just that. Release that financial burden on those people who, has lost their parent or legal guardian, and just really help the community as much as I can. The community pours in so much love and support throughout the day, or weekly basis. It's the least that I can do. Some people like a lot of sauce. Me personally, I like just enough. But I've had all types of requests. Make it extra, extra, extra saucy. Your wish is my command.
A former football player for the Falcons, Shivers currently suits up for the Toledo Thunder. And it's not just his skills on the field that make him a favorite amongst his teammates. Do you provide food for the team meals?
A lot of my teammates, they order food. They come down to this day after practice and everything. They always, bring some meals, man, bring some meals. So, yeah, they big dudes can eat, man.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Here, we're in Ziggy's now, so obviously at some point you transitioned out of your home kitchen. When did this become your new home?
April 2nd, 2018.
So you're the chef here. Is that how you sell your meals? Like when people come, obviously things are different now with the pandemic, but do people come in and order from you, or can they order online? How's it go?
Actually, what I've been doing leading up into the pandemic, I've been taking online orders only. So just, send me a message through Twitter or Instagram and everything. I know my popular meals. I know which ones are going to sell, no matter what. But anytime I have an idea, I just, take a picture, put it on Twitter, see how the feedback would be, and just go from there. All my chicken, my steak, everything is, bought and cut by me. I don't really like to provide all the frozen food type of things because I like my food to be authentic. I wanted to have that authentic taste with my own special seasonings and everything. So, that's something I really take pride in.
How important is seasoning to anything you make?
Very important, man. I know a lot of students, and me being the student at the time, they complain about the dining hall's food being really bland and everything. I can't have my meals like that, man. Seasoning is definitely important.
I'm gonna dig right into the sandwich here. Nothing on here is remotely bland. It's all delicious, full of flavor, really, really good.
Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. We'll bump it out. There you go. What's it mean to you to be doing this? Could you have ever imagined that you'd be making a career making food?
Never in a million years thought, I would be in business cooking. It's always been something that I love to do. Always believe that God's plans and our plans are, totally separate. And when He shows you what your calling is, just answer it and, just go from there. I started this business with my last $47. It doesn't take a lot to start a business. It just takes, dedication, hard work, commitment, and, the belief in yourself. Be in it not just for the money, because the money will be there. Do it because you love to do it. And, everything else will fall into place.
Boy, great story. Made me a little hungry too. It's so nice to be able to share these stories of so many local African Americans who are contributing to society in general every day, on and off the field. Now, our next story takes us out to Lourdes University, where my good friend and New Orleans native Janet Eaton is the athletic director. She's one of only a few African American women athletic directors in the country.
When Janet Eaton first stepped foot on Lourdes campus, she immediately fell in love with it and could tell the Lord had blessed this small piece of Sylvania. So becoming the athletic director at a predominantly white school didn't cross her mind as an issue.
I had multiple conversations with our president, Dr. Marianne Gwalik, prior to taking the job. She shared from her perspective of the direction of where she wanted to go. For me, I just saw a canvas that I could actually paint and do what I love to do. I'm very passionate about athletics. And so if that was an opportunity for me to flourish and for me to grow, I will welcome it. And the challenges that come with it, I will embrace it and I won't allow it to beat me down every day and make it an issue every day, but I wanted to be able to be a trailblazer to help move the needle and support the mission of what Dr. Gwalik has set forth. It's hard, Mark, not even to sugarcoat it. It is very hard being a Black female and in the athletic arena. So some of the challenge I've had to face was fighting stereotypes. Are you angry? Is she an angry Black female? Getting people to understand your personality and who you are. But again, coming with being comfortable in the room. 9 times out of 10, I'm the only one in the room. When you look at our conference, I'm the only Black female in the conference, and it's 12 people in our conference. Now, I'm comfortable. I'm on cabinet here. I'm very thankful for that. I'm the only Black female in that setting. Am I comfortable? Yes, I am. But it comes with challenges from my end and also from the person that's already set the table to help them move the needle along and to understand how I think, to understand that I am not the voice for every Black person on this campus, but I do sympathize, and I probably have a different lens as how I approach things, or I have a different lens of how I see things. So when I approach them, it's probably totally different from my counterparts that don't look like me. When you talk about Lourdes athletics, prior to me, I think it was one person of color that was on the coaching staff. So we have moved the needle in that mark. We've hired some people in places that were qualified for the job and are doing a phenomenal job. And when I look at applications, and it's not about are you Black or are you white, or are you Hispanic, it's about who's qualified for the job. Create the rubric, take the race out and go from there. It's unfortunate that people have to look at our color to see if they want to hire us or not. You look at the person's credentials, their history, double check references. Are they qualified to do the job? Can they do the job? And that's what you want the person to be able to do their job. But with that being said, Mark, I make a conscious effort to make sure that the people that I hire, whether they're Black, Hispanic, male or female, have the tools to succeed. Am I listening to their concerns? Am I understanding where they're coming from so I can be able to supply them with what they need so they're comfortable mentally, comfortable physically, and able to grow and flourish? When I think about my life, I've enjoyed it. I'm happy, I'm blessed, and I'm thankful, but I have learned from my experiences. I've had many, many challenges, from the way I pronounce words. It's a Southern twang. You never know. People talk about that, but do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, I do. And being able to deal with difficult situations, not allow it to tear you down and not dwell on it. you take those situations and grow from them. Yeah, it hurts. I cry often. I pray daily. But at the same time, I surround myself with a solid support system that knows that it's going to be okay. I accept the challenge of being a trailblazer at Lourdes. I do. I'm very thankful of the relationship that I have with my boss, Dr. Gwalik, and how we muddle through some things and figure some things out together. I'm learning, she's learning, and we're committed to making this work here on our campus.
Respect, inclusivity, support, and education are more than just buzzwords to Eaton.
For us, I want to make sure that if you are Muslim, you're comfortable. I want to make sure that if you are a female, you're comfortable and you're safe. I want to make sure if you are of a different belief than what we offer here, that we're putting people in a situation where they have the opportunity to express themselves safely and they know they're going to be heard and respected with doing so. It's going to be challenges every day, and we continue to educate. We have searched out and make sure we respect Jewish holidays and understand Jewish holidays, because we have some athletes that are Jewish. So we want to make sure we understand, and that's education for me, education for everyone else, and then understanding different backgrounds, just embracing it and loving the journey. That's the biggest takeaway for me. Be present where you are, love the journey, continue to grow and excel, and just, it's going to be okay.
In Sylvania, Mark Kutz, BCSN.
Welcome back to BCSN and BCAN's Black History Month special. I'm your host, Deon Thompson from BCSN, and joining me from BCAN is Faith Atkins. Now, if you're just tuning in, you're in for a treat, as this next segment takes us down Cherry Street, well, you know it as Central Catholic High School, and we're going to go see my girl, head basketball coach for the women, Erica Haney.
Well, it's really crazy because some of my good friends right now that I always frequent their house and hang out and go to barbecues and cookouts and stuff, her mom was actually somebody that cut me from the team. And I think after that, I realized, you know what, maybe I am an athlete. You guys come cheer for me. So I started playing basketball, and I found that that was my calling, being an athlete, running track, playing volleyball. So that was actually the jump start of, you know, me becoming an athlete, was getting cut from cheerleading. How about that? I just think the culture of basketball has changed. I mean, back in the day, you had to be tough to play. All the schools in the City League were good. Everybody had somebody on their team that would give you 20 points a night, or, you know, so it was a dogfight. So I think the culture of, you know, the players were tougher, the games were tougher, there were more good teams. You know, you don't see a lot of stacked teams, you see kind of a lot of even teams. So I think that was probably the biggest difference. It's funny because, like, some of my students, when we're in, like, you know, weightlifting, or if we're just kind of working out, or, you know, the classes go to the gym for something, and I'll show them a picture. They're like, oh, that's you? Oh my God, it's so funny. So some of the pictures I don't want to see, they're a little embarrassing. I don't know what I had going on back then, you know. But yeah, they laugh at a lot of those pictures. I mean, I have my class picture, my Hall of Fame picture up there, and just some of the teams that won the cities for track, basketball, and volleyball. So it's kind of cool to see it. That's why I have so much passion, because I'm like, hey, I went here, I did this, I was in your shoes, I wore that jersey, so let's go. Like, I have that passion for it. I would have never come back to Toledo for any other job but Central, because my heart is here at Central. I think it's an amazing school. I had a great time. I learned a lot. I had really good coaches. And I just think that from where I've been and all the places that I've been, the different coaches that I've been around, even as a college coach, seeing like the mentorship and the opportunities that are out there for our girls, I just wanted to make sure that I could take all of that I learned and bring it back to the city. Obviously, you can be very passionate as a coach, but I think with the girls nowadays, there's so much stuff going on with these girls. You just have to really get to the root of how they're feeling. I want to make sure that not only am I a coach, I'm a good mentor, somebody that they can call on. So I think that that's important, and I think once you can kind of get that barrier crossed where, hey, you know what, she's my coach, she's putting me in games, she's taking me out, she's yelling at me, but I know that she cares about me as a person, she cares about my well-being, and she wants me to be the best that I can be. Basketball has a lot of lessons that you learn on and off the court. And I think my biggest thing going in was like, man, you know, this is a teaching opportunity for me not only to teach on the court, but to teach these girls how to work for things that they want off the court. So I really try to implement, you know, off the court work ethic into on the court work ethic, you know, competing for anything that it is that you want. So I just think like, you know, going off and doing the different things that I've done, just the lessons that I've learned, I try to really have a lot of different teachable moments with the girls.
Erica is doing a great job over at Central Catholic. African Americans are making great strides every day and have been for years. And so with this next story, which is near and dear to my heart, as I am a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, is dedicated to the 9 Black Greek fraternities and sororities, also known as the Divine Nine. What you're hearing and seeing right now are the sights and sounds of different brothers and sisters stepping together to show spirit and pride in their Black Greek letter organization. But stepping and strolling are only a small part of what these Black Greek letter organizations do. Not only do they have fun and influence college student life, but they also impact Black culture and history in ways that go beyond the classroom. Alpha Phi Alpha, Alpha Kappa Alpha, Kappa Alpha Psi, Omega Psi Phi, Delta Sigma Theta, Phi Beta Sigma, Zeta Phi Beta, Sigma Gamma Rho, and Iota Phi Theta. These 9 organizations, collectively known as the Divine Nine, or NPHC, have been pushing for social change, exemplifying scholarship, and serving their communities for over 100 years.
Black history is the NPHC, and I would say NPHC is Black history. The NPHC, in particular, we epitomize like what Black History Month is all about. So that's the celebration of Black culture. So that's whether it's stepping or strolling or any type of historical significance of all our different organizations. All of those things celebrate Black history.
We need to talk about why these organizations were founded. They were founded during a time when Blacks did not have the rights and privileges that others had. And so they were founded to make social change. And so to me, it gives me a chance to be proud of who I am as a Black woman, to be a part of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
NPHC helps shape confidence and leadership skills among the Black community.
I came to college, I had a very rough start, and through that rough start, a lot of people that were my mentors, and that really carried me through that time and helped me see another side. We're all members of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. I became a member of Alpha Alpha spring of 2017.
Now, the organizations may differ in their mottos, symbols, or even personas, but what remains the same throughout the Divine Nine is that membership is a lifetime commitment.
Being in the NPHC and also being an Alpha is about setting an example for the next generation.
We've had members that, you know, we celebrate 60, 70 years in the fraternity. My dad joined in 1951.
I don't have any biological sisters, so now I have over 350,000 sisters. So no matter where I go in the world, I'm sure I'd run into a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And it also helps me, gives me a chance to reach back to those who are coming up behind me, to mentor them, to help them.
You've made a commitment, and I think that's the family commitment that we're talking about.
And while the members are committed to one another through bonds of sister and brotherhood, the foundation and legacy of the Divine Nine is the members' pledge to public service, which stands the test of time.
We are at the front lines trying to make a change. And so we're still trying to make positive change in our communities, doing food drives, helping out those that are less fortunate.
I think that's the thing that I appreciate the most about NPHC now, is that we are still doing the work during quote-unquote unprecedented times. My organization, Alpha Phi Alpha, Alpha Xi Lambda chapter recently had an event where we had ours, was typically a scholarship breakfast. That's typically in person, but of course with COVID, we had it virtually. And because it was virtual, we were able to touch different people from across the country. That doesn't happen with like a mindset that's not a growth mindset. And that's not only my organization. We're still going in and we're still doing the work.
Whether you've read about them in history books or witnessed them breaking barriers through the media, or simply conversing with them in your own backyard, Divine Nine members are here and they're making history.
I love my DST. I am such a proud member of my organization, and I know everyone who is a member of MPAC are proud members. We are organizations who thrive on sisterhood and brotherhood. And so we are better people because of the values of our organization.
We all are similar, but we have our own, standards that we like to excel in and exemplify. It's better to meet those when you have, support and everything from those people.
Kamala Harris's membership in her sorority was a significant factor, or a very good significant factor in her being elected. So it's good to see a Divine Nine organization of any sort to get the positive recognition that it's deserved. It's a good feeling to see Black history in a great positive light, or Black people, Black culture, all in a positive light.
Being a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, that last segment really hits home. Glad to see so many of those organizations still doing well. Now let's switch gears a little bit and let's go over to the hockey rink, where I'd like to introduce you to Everett Fitzhugh. Who is he? Well, he's only the first African-American announcer for the NHL.
Number 0, Youngstown, 3-on-1 through center. Here's Letnoff, near side. Letnoff, backhand, shooting, scores!
Growing up in Detroit, Everett Fitzhugh's love for hockey started at a young age.
I went home one day and watched a Wings game, and they just happened to be playing the Oilers at the time, and they had 2 Black players on their team. So for me, that was really, really big to see someone who looked like me playing in the NHL. I don't need to tell you that historically hockey is a predominantly white male sport. So to see, 2 people who look like you at 9 years old, that's something that was pretty remarkable.
While his fandom started in 3rd grade, his passion for broadcasting hockey bloomed on the campus of Bowling Green State University at Slater Family Ice Arena.
My first game my freshman year, fell in love with it. I was a color analyst, and I called my mom that night the next day, and I said, so we're gonna put all the eggs in the hockey basket. This is our career path. And she was like, all right, well, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. So she's always been so supportive of me, but even her eyebrows were like, okay, let's see where this goes. Ultimately, it led me to my goal, my dream of being in the NHL.
He was a really, really fun guy to be around, and got along great with all the players and all the staff and all the families. Everybody he's just, as you know, he's just if you don't like Everett Fitzhugh, then you got some of your issues of your own. And then, to see Everett, we were all part of Everett's professional process, whether it was a letter of recommendation or a call that someone said, hey, we're thinking about Everett Fitzhugh for this position. What are your thoughts? So it was fun to be a part of that process, and then to see him ultimately get to where he is now. I told Everett when I found out, I sent him a text, and he called me right away, and I told him, I said, I'm as proud as you as we are of any player. So I guess that's the best compliment.
Now to Johnson, 2-on-1 with 5. Johnson shoots off the glove of Hildebrand. He scores!
Following stops in Chicago, Youngstown, and most recently Cincinnati, Fitzhugh got the call, or rather email, he'd always dreamed of.
And the Cyclones have a 2-1 lead.
Early last year, The Athletic featured the BGSU grad. Shortly after the article's release, Seattle Kraken president and CEO Todd Lewicki made initial contact.
I thought it was a prank at first, honestly. I thought it was one of our coaches or someone in the Cyclone sales department playing a joke on me. But I replied to the email, and it was him. He said he enjoyed reading my story and wanted to hear more about me. And, we copped on a phone call, and it was an amazing phone call. And then COVID hit. He said that he wanted to stay in touch and things like that. And I thought that with COVID coming along, it was, we'll be in touch later. We'll wait for all this to pass. And I kind of put it on the back burner, but still, had it in my mind. And then I get another email in May, and he said, hey, I know the whole world's kind of gone crazy, but we're still building for 21-22 and would love to know if you're still interested. If you are, I want to start that interview process. And you know, once I picked my jaw up off the floor, I was like, yeah, absolutely, let's do this.
When Fitzhugh accepted the Kraken's offer in July, he made history, becoming the first Black team broadcaster in the NHL.
It's humbling, it's flattering. You know, I've told people, I don't think anybody ever sets out to be the role model or the trailblazer, but I think if you're presented with that opportunity, you owe it to the culture, you owe it to the sport, obviously you owe it to those people, but I think more importantly, you owe it to yourself to take that responsibility head on. You know, for me, there weren't a lot of positive Black role models in hockey for when I was growing up. You know, I had George LaRock, I had Mike Greer, and I had Anson Carter. You know, so for me to be able to show that 12-year-old Black kid in Detroit or Cleveland or wherever the case is, that hey, there is a place for you in this game. There, you know, hockey is not just an old white man sport. You can be a person of color, you can be a woman, you can, you know, have a disability and still find your way and have a voice in this game. That's huge for me, and I'm looking forward to the day where, you know, there's more than one Black play-by-play announcer. I don't want that to be, you know, something that needs to be celebrated. I want that to be something that's standard. And for me to be able to start and to be in a position where I can help move that train along, I'll do whatever I can.
What's up, everyone? This is Everett Fitzhugh, team broadcaster for your Seattle Kraken.
The Kraken will officially drop the puck next year. Until then, follow Fitzhugh and the franchise's journey on social media at The Voice Fitz on Twitter. In Toledo, Claire Dow, BCSN.
Welcome back to the BCSN and BCAN Black History Month special. I'm your host, Faith Atkins, and I'm also joined by BCSN's Dion Thompson. And we're celebrating local African Americans who are trailblazers in their everyday lives. Next up, let's meet Terry Burton. Terry is a local artist, activist, and community journalist who's pushing the envelope on conventional art.
You know, with art, there's a nuance to it where I think I can add something. Because not everything's just black and white. I think provoking conversation, I think in a constructive way. Art is my lane. That's where I can serve the community the best. Hello, my name is Terry A. Burton. I'm a local artist, and I own a company called Cloud Farming. The creative industries is where I kind of like made a home career-wise. 20 years later, I'm here, back here, full circle, after going to Cincinnati, Detroit, Cleveland. You know, I just got back from Detroit 2 years ago and kind of like coming back to the basics, where it all started for me. Usually with my process, I start out with a small drawing like this. Steal things out of the newspapers and clippings and stuff like that, and then I come up with something that is authentic. I don't know, original is a strong word, you know, a tree's a tree. There are many different trees, but this was the end like design. And then I usually take that and I would project that onto a canvas. For larger things, I mean, you know, you have to get the lines down. But from there, you know, you have to know what you're doing as far as, I guess, you know, filling in color and stuff like that. It's almost like advanced paint by numbers. I'd say most of my work would be collage in nature, but I do draw. It's cumbersome to make an image, so I don't want to say cheat, but you know, I just take some shortcuts and liberties because I think, you know, the most important for me is to get the message across. And definitely in this fast-paced world, you know, I use the computer a lot, you know, to generate images. More so now than when I first started. The computer's been integral to what I'm doing, and so I'm balancing between analog and digital worlds when it comes to visual art. I will remix paintings that I've made, you know, like actual objects, into digital art. So, you know, it's like a spectrum, a pendulum that goes back and forth between the two. Always stay thirsty for different, you know, acquiring skills or knowledge, and to be able to use your creativity in different ways. And that, I guess maybe that's because I have a business background. I guess that's the way I think. You know, one of my favorite artists is Andy Warhol. I think he was a great business artist. He was always thinking about how to make a buck. For example, I got into graphic design by accident because someone said, hey, you know, do you make logos? And I'm like, yeah, I could make a logo. Okay, I'm gonna pay you X amount of dollars. Regardless of whether you like it, you have to make a living. So just find something within the creative realm to apply your creativity. And I can go into a room and make a interesting presentation for a client and have the skill set to do so. And that leads me into, like, I got into marketing. I think it all blends together for me as a career, but not to just say, hey, I just do painting or I just do sculpture. You know, it doesn't, for me, it doesn't seem 21st century.
Watching Terry in that last segment makes me think I may have to try my hand at creating something. All right, this last sports segment, we're gonna meet Misha Green. Misha was a local standout athlete here in Toledo, Ohio. Now she's currently the head girls basketball coach over at Scott High School.
I'm going to be honest, and walking into when I accepted this role, I knew beyond a shot of a doubt that basketball was the avenue, but there was a greater work that I was called over here to do, and I truly believe that.
Bulldogs led by their first-year head coach, Misha Green. A pretty good pedigree. Boucher Hall of Fame, fantastic player along with her sister, but in her first season at the helm in Scott.
I played in high school and you know, had the offers, and my intentions were to go on and play at the collegiate level, which is what I was set up to do. And what happened was my senior year in high school, I got hurt and life happened. And I think that for so many years to where I am now, I've always had a passion for the game, and I think that the pivotal point for me to even get back into coaching was just staying close to the game and watching, you know, the different games. And then I had a number of my colleagues and mentors had reached out to me like, you know, did you just give up on basketball? And it wasn't never that I gave up, but I think that it was something in me that kind of sparked that love for the game and understanding what the game did for me. That same drive, just on a different level as an adult, is what brought me back to the game. And so I guess in turn, just the whole passion of the game and just realizing that God gave me a gift and it should not go unused. And I think that passion for the game, I want to be able to give that back, particularly, you know, to these young ladies, and you know, just encourage them to fight through any adversity and allow the game to work for you. As a head coach, what makes that special is that the impact that you have on these student athletes. Some of them, you know, depending upon what their situation is at home or outside of, you know, the gym, they need somebody. They need positive figures in their life. They need positive reinforcement. They need someone just to listen to them. We as coaches are doing so much to fill those voids for the kids and make sure that we provide that positive example for them. That for me personally, those student athletes help me. They've helped me over the years. They've helped me to kind of look at myself and reevaluate maybe some of the things that I'm going through, or, you know, my strengths and opportunities for improvement. And they hold me accountable as well. And so, and then on the flip side of that, it gives me a sense of worth. So they help me just as much as I help them. When I can see them come together in a form of sisterhood, That's the biggest win for me, because I think that that's where it starts, because when they leave here, when they leave basketball, Lord forbid anything happen and there's an injury and you can't play, or like you said, when they transition on, when my seniors transition on and go out into the world, I want them to understand relationships. I want them to understand to not be threatened all the time by your fellow sister, but yet to embrace her and help her and just empower each other. I mean, there's room for all of us, you know what I mean? And we can learn a lot from each other, but I think that that's one thing that I would like to see change, even beyond my program, but just across all women's sports. And I've seen a lot of that, you know, evolve over the years, and I just would hope that I can help make a difference at this level with the young ladies that are coming up, that will move up to the collegiate level, that will move up to prominent positions in the world, prominent positions in your community, be able to give back and rally together as sisters and love each other. You know, don't be so threatened by each other, you know, all the time. Let's help each other. I accepted the role because I felt like it was an opportunity to come in and be an example for these young ladies, and not so much even just be an example, but give them a voice for aspiring coaches, young ladies that aspire to be head coaches, a voice for young ladies that aspire to have someone that they can identify to, if you will, and connect with in so many levels. So to be someone that they see, well, she played too, so she understands that piece. She's coached, so she understands that piece. And she's a female, she's me, I am her, you know what I mean? And so I think that that is what I am grateful for, the opportunity.
Thanks so much for joining us for the BCSN and BCAN Black History Month special. I'm your host, Faith Atkins, alongside with Dion Thompson from BCSN. And for our last story, I would like to introduce to you Valerie Thompson. Valerie is a graphic and environmental designer who has made her mark around ProMedica, its affiliated hospitals and galleries.
My name is Valerie Thompson, and I'm a graphic and environmental designer here at ProMedica. I was hired in as an entry-level graphic designer. I was doing that for maybe about 3 years, and I found that the projects that involved fabrication or creating a display were some of my favorites. And so when it kind of got to the point where I wanted to do something different, I asked my boss, could I concentrate on that? And that's kind of how I got started. There actually was a ton of work in that area. One of the challenges of being an African-American woman working in this capacity, in this art realm for this corporate organization, is that no one really assumes that you're the one in charge. I've shown up to a lot of meetings and people automatically go up to my white vendor and they start asking questions, and the vendor looks at me and says, I don't know, what do you think, Val? This is your project. And I'm like, you know, they look at me like, oh, didn't know that. And I choose not to be offended by things like that because I know what we're working with here. You know, there are a lot of people who have never experienced having to answer to or talk on a higher level with a Black employee or seeing that employee be in charge of a large project, especially art that seems to be very segregated. Don't get me wrong, 90% of the people, 95% have been awesome. There's been no friction at all. And honestly, I haven't experienced any, you know, super targeted, you know, offensive things, but it's the little things, I think, that kind of still proves that racism is alive and well. And in those kind of pleasantries or lack thereof, you can kind of see where people and their comfort level lies. And I think that seeing me at the table as opposed to someone that looks like them might set some on edge, and others may not necessarily know how to approach me or talk to me. But I look at all of that as an opportunity. I can honestly say I have no fear in saying what I think. Sometimes it's from a Black perspective, and sometimes it's just from a human or an artist or a woman. You know, I want to use all of those things to my advantage and to the betterment of the project. You know, there have been times where I have made friends from working on a project with someone, and that might have been one of the few occurrences that they've had or interactions that they've had with a Black person before, and they've said so to me. And I think that it's important to be able to be in a position where you can introduce people to another perspective. That's what art is, isn't it? You know, to be able to show people a different viewpoint. And I think that I'm so grateful to ProMedica, especially, for allowing me to be in this role. But I want to not just use that role to beautify things. I want to use that role to open up doors for other artists of color, for other marketers of color, for other people who have a interest in breaking into the corporate art world, because there are not a lot of us in those spaces. Just, to be honest, there are not. And it shouldn't be that way. But it takes people who are in those positions already opening up doors for others in order to make that change.
Thanks so much for joining us for the BCSN and BCAN Black History Month special. Dion, this was so much fun. And you know, it was really cool to just take a look at people who are in the community with us, making a difference every day.
Faith, I have to agree with you. It's nice to honor people that have made contributions in the past, but it's also great to do it in the present, locally. And let's not forget, African American history is American history.
That's absolute facts. I can't agree with you more. And so, with that being said, we'll wrap the show up. For BCAN, I'm Faith Atkins.
For BCSN, I am Dion Thompson, and we'll see you next time.